Do this.
All right, beautiful. All right, good afternoon, everybody. Whether you're live with us, we got Mark and Com. Thank you guys for being here, or you guys are virtual watching this after the fact. We just wanted to welcome you guys on for our educational learning experience, our new rendition of it. It's our policy hour. Today, we're going to be going over the Growers Showcase event regulations, essentially, which it was previously the Grower Showcase. Now, I think they're just calling it the Showcase event regulations, taking out some of the Grower Showcase, given that the Grower Showcase was actually meant for, that specific time when the farmers had to offload their products. We don't need to get into that, but we all know where it started from, and we're going to be talking about today, like I said, where we're going. Just a few housekeeping things before we get too much into it. We're going to essentially be going over the actual regulations today. It's only a 22-page document, and comparative to the last time, we felt like this would be a little bit more personable. Allow you guys to ask questions, and just really kind of break down what each facet of it means. We're also going to be having a few links inside of the chat. Like I said, if you guys are virtual, we'll make it all accessible in the YouTube under below so you can see it after the fact. But we're going to have a link for our agenda, just going through what today's outline looks like. For the actual comment matrix, that's our comments that we already did. And then we also have a Google form link. If any time we're going through this, you guys feel like there needs to be a comment, whether it's in addition to what we have or whether it's different from what we have, whatever that really looks like. But, like I said, that Google form, if you guys have a comment based off anything that we're talking about, that's when you can go in there, go to the page, go to the line, the subsection, make the comment, the proposed language, why you want to. And then that is going to be added to our comment matrix. And like, I know Brandy, I just saw her drop all those links back in. I just saw Finos come in. How you guys doing? Giselle. And yeah,
Hey, hey.
good to see you guys. Good to see you guys. So yeah, so that's how it's going to be running. Like I said, Brandy and I are going to popcorn. Precious might be on in a little bit here. She's taking care of the holiday give back. You guys know Bloom is always everywhere at one time. So we're going to be popcorning this back and forth. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, or just kind of want to have a little bit of conversation about it, right? Let's just kind of
And
normalize
can I
that.
add one thing?
Yeah.
Because the two licensees I see on our micros, so I just want to put something out here. Micros, and I know y'all can't come off camera, but see my face when I say this, that micros, how this is written, if you have not read this, this is not inclusive of you. That means there needs to be a regulatory change. In order for it to be a regulatory change, that needs to happen from the people that are currently in Albany. Currently, how this is written, it is about being this has been an issue, but I have seen that micros haven't seen micros really having a conversation about this. So I'm just sharing this out that is cannot I cannot give y'all legal advice. I'm not your lawyers. But what I would say is currently how the regulations are currently written, they are centering retail dispensaries. We'll get into that when we're going over this. And the language would require you to be in partnership with a retail dispensary. Well, since micros are vertically integrated, they should be exempt from this, but that will require your legislators to make a legislative change. This is not the actual on the regulations.
Yeah.
So I just
And
wanted to make sure I share that. Um,
yeah, I would even say just to hop on that train real quick. I even think it's funnier, Brandy, that they don't allow them to be the actual permittee, but they allow registered organization dispensing and non-dispensing to apply for their permit license, whereas the micro, like you said, can only be an authorized vendor. So it's like, like Brandy's saying, you guys essentially wouldn't be able to benefit off of the sales portion of it. It would only be your products being sold, which I think doesn't make a lot of sense, especially when we go towards, the point of a micro and then the point of a registered organization. But we'll hop into that, as we break down some of these regs. But
thanks for sharing that. That's yeah, thank you.
it's
absolutely,
crazy. I realized I thought I saw that, and then to be honest with you, I it's so many things happening at the same time. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's like it's not intentional. I don't think anyone is intentionally wanted that to slide through. But when I was reading it, I said, why this not making sense? So I'm calling all the people I know, like, and then my next question was, well, where were the micros in the last legislative cycle? We know that everybody is being business owners and everybody thinks that business isn't politics. But we both, but a lot of this stuff happens there first. So I just think it just made us realize we need to start, which is why we're doing regulations now
Yeah.
at Bloom. just to kind of slow it down. And I think people still don't even see themselves as a part of the conversation yet. So we'll keep going through this, and but in the next how you can address that, you can speak directly to your legislators, your
Okay.
assembly members. You could talk to Cooney,
Okay.
Finos, Majority Leader Crystal People Stokes, sharing this concern. Y'all could share that out. Assembly member Meeks, you have assembly members as well down there, just trying to make sure they understand how this directly impacts how you can sell the full line of your products and what that looks like over time. So just something to think about. Chat, I'm first.
I can go first if you just want to share screen of the actual regs, or I can share screen or whichever
Okay,
works.
and just so you know,
Oh,
guys, I
perfect.
did
Yeah.
drop a. Let me just do a quick little overview. If you're
Yeah. Yeah.
watching this, when you're watching this later on, the one thing that I want you guys to be able to see is the agenda is linked here. Click right here in the agenda. It has what we're doing, our welcome, all of the different sections. So no, we're going to be walking through that. If in an event you see a comment that you want to make for your business, all you have to do is use this Google form. You're going to put it in right here. You're going to choose the part that you're discussing on. Go put the page number and what you want to change it for. If you put the page number, I could usually find the original text. So if you you don't have to write the whole thing, but you can cut and paste if you have the ability to do that. Justification is not necessary. So just want to put that out there. But last time we submitted 122 comments for the PMLA regs. So definitely want to continue to be able to do that in the same way. You also have the ability in the actual event, you can just make a comment. Some people say, hey, I just want to make a comment. People commented it and people also emailed us. So I just want to make sure people know all of the options in which, when you look at the matrix, these are exactly what Bloom has saw fit. What we decided, since they're pretty short, is to go over using an actual document. Chad, you want me to start here first, or you want to start in a document?
I think if we start in the document, it could kind of just help. Like you
People
said,
understand. No problem.
exactly. Yeah. Yep.
And if you want to follow along, definitely see my screen. I'm going to do this again. Just drop the regs. These are the exact regs so you can see what is happening.
All right, perfect. Thank you very much, Randy. All right, so guys, first of all, let's start with definitions, right? We all know this regulation language cannot make a lot of sense. So I always think it's very important to start off with the definitions. So just starting off at the top, I'm going to kind of do a skim read. I'm not going to read every single line word for word unless I feel like I need to. But starting off at the top, for the purpose of this, adult use cannabis retailer means a registered organization with dispensing or an adult use retail dispensary, which is licensed pursuant to the cannabis law. The applicant means the adult use cannabis retailer applying for cannabis showcase event permit. Just to break that down real quick, that's what I was talking about, where it's saying only a registered organization dispensing and only an adult use retail dispensary can apply for the actual permit of the showcase permit. I'll get into the following up with that. Supplement it. The authorized employee for the purpose of this means an employee that is included in the staffing plan as provided by the permittee and authorized licensees for each cannabis showcase event. This is essentially meaning that in order to do a showcase event, you essentially need staff on behalf of the permittee, the authorized licensee, which could be a cultivator, processor, registered organization, or micro business. And like I said, it'll make a little bit more sense in a second here. Brandy, you want to go down to the next? So authorized license, like I was talking, in conjunction with the authorized employee, essentially meaning a cultivator, processor, ROD, registered organization, non-dispensing, or micro business, which is licensed pursuant to this article to showcase at a cannabis event. Let's be very great. Showcase and sell are they mean very literal in for the purpose of this. So showcase is going to mean when you go to a trade show, right? Or there's these brand pop-ups. That's you guys have the table, you have your branding. It'll talk a little bit more about that for definitions as we go on. And then, like I said, the permittee is the only person on that entire premise licensed to be able to sell, whether it's realistically any products outside of food. And like I said, it kind of talks about that a little bit more as we go on. The cannabis showcase event or event in general means an event as defined in Section 130A of the cannabis law. That's what I've talked about is essentially just a cannabis showcase event. Showcase event, farmer showcase, they're all essentially the same thing. Just point that out for what they mean for the purpose of this. The cannabis showcase event permit or permit for the purpose of this means the permit issued by the office pursuant to Section 130. The cannabis showcase event area or event area for the purpose of this means the physical space of a cannabis showcase event location as described in the cannabis showcase event site plan where a cannabis showcase event is taking place, whether indoors or outdoors. It's just a fancy way for saying, where it's at according to the site plan that they're going to make you submit with your application for it. The cannabis showcase event sales area or sales area in general means a physical space within a cannabis showcase event area where the permittee is transacting sales of adult use cannabis products. Essentially, what's the difference between the showroom floor and where the actual sales are taking place? We have employee in charge of showcasing means a management level employee of an authorized license who is at least 21 years of age and designated by such authorized license to perform or oversee showcasing operations of the authorized license at the showcase event. Let's remember back what an authorized license is. It could essentially only be the showcasing licenses at that event. So essentially the employee in charge of showcasing is just whoever is going to be, let's say, for instance, Phenos, if, you or Chris isn't specifically going out there, who are you guys sending to be the employee in charge of, the Phenos New York brand? That can be in terms of showcasing, et cetera, et cetera. But it's essentially only to do with your brand. Where am I? Employee in charge of sales, the same thing as for the showcasing, but it's only for that retail dispensary. So it's essentially, let's say if high end dispensary, was going to do it with, two authorized licensees, which that's going to have to be a processor and a cultivator who from high end dispensary is going to be able to run the sales floor to, just essentially manage it, make sure everything's going the way it should be. For the purpose of this, farmers market means farmers market as defined in section 260 of the Ag and Markets Law. Brandy, you'll go down for me a little bit, please.
And Chad, did you want to go to just quickly wanting to add this in that for the this is our recommendations for changing just because you were on definition. So I'm gonna go to
Yeah.
that
I think
first.
that's a good way to do it. Yeah.
So on page 2, when they were talking about adult use retailer means organized RO, I think we should add in C real retailers just so that we can also make sure that small retailers require a different like tailored guidance and that they're a part of that. I just think that is where we could push because they got in the registered owners, but I don't think they have in all of that. I think that's one thing with language they can work on was a recommendation. Authorized employee. I think they should provide a model staffing plan template, and that should be added in there because why should we have to figure out what you mean when you say employee authorized staffing
Right.
plan includes? That's confusing.
Yeah.
Line 3, employees in charge of showcasing means allowing one trained person to hold both roles because if it's a small company, what if you don't have the ability to have two different people on payroll to do an event in that space? That is currently not clear. So that should be a recommendation. It's between the one showcasing and distributing because if they're in the same area, like near the same area or also windows, I think those are things that might come up because right now most companies are only sending one person. So I thought that was a lot to ask of a company. And then partnership means an agreement between authorized user to publish a model of what they want that to look like because I feel like this is where it can start getting predatory with some of the what the partnerships are meant to be. All right, I'm gonna turn it back over to you to go to permit and let, but we could keep doing it just like that, Chad.
Yeah. I'm honestly cool with going through it if you just
And
want to
then I'll
stop
do the
me every time.
recommendation.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
cool.
Cool
All
beans.
right. Okay.
All right. So going forward from farmers market, lead contact means the management level employee of the permittee. Once again, that is going to be the retail license holder applying for the showcase permit who is at least 21 years of age or older designated to essentially run and do the compliance for the cannabis showcase event. Partnership means an agreement between an adult use retailer and an authorized licensee to participate in a showcase event, kind of the relationship I've been explaining. Permittee means a licensed adult use cannabis retailer that holds a cannabis showcase event permit issued by the office. So what I was talking about is really just that retailer. When they are granted that permit, that's what they're referred to. Pop-up or pop-up location means a temporary location for the short-term operation of a cannabis showcase event, which is away from adult use cannabis retailers' licensed premises. Essentially, that's the boilerplate baseline for it. They have a few more definitions further in that we'll get into. Public market means public market as defined in Section 260 of Ag and Markets Law. Showcase means showcase as defined in Section 130A of Cannabis Law. And vendor means a business or entity that is not licensed by the board meaning the Cannabis Control Board, that has an agreement with the permittee. The permittee is that retail applicant who applied for the showcase permit to provide goods or services at a cannabis showcase event pursuant to Section 17.6 of this part. So we got the definitions down. I hope I did a good job at explaining that or breaking it down in a way that makes sense as we continue to go through this document, because I definitely feel like these definitions are very essential in understanding this, right? The first time I read this when it came out, I think probably mid to late summer, I was like, what are they talking about? And obviously after reading it a few more times, really trying to understand and comprehend what they mean by the definitions in the context that they're using them, I think helped me personally a lot in really being able to grasp exactly what this is talking about. Brandon, you want to go down?
Thank you. And I was just gonna say, I want to pause. If anybody had any, I gave some comments. If you have any additional, don't hesitate to put it in the chat or use the Google form. Chat if you chat if you I was gonna say chat. Chat, can you go ahead and redrop the links for Ebony? Um,
Yes,
okay, cool.
the links
That
to,
we just had.
yeah, like the ones that you sent for the agenda in the
Yeah.
form.
That's because I'm
I got
sharing
you.
my screen. Oh, I
Yeah, I
have to.
got you. I got you. I could do that. How you
Okay.
doing, Ebony?
Pretty good. A little under the weather.
I
Oh
swear,
no.
I've been saying this sickness has been going around. You're like the sixth person this week that told me that I was sick this week too. I'm telling you, this
Look,
Yeah,
sickness
I'm
it's
is
not
going
going to
crazy.
around.
nobody Thanksgiving dinner. This
Right. It's
podcast
crazy out here.
every nasty. All right. Well, this is like I was saying, this is directly, you guys are gonna have a lot on y'all plate because this is directly really written towards retail. So even when the recommendations, I really tried to have the retailer in mind with the recommendation, and making it as streamlined as possible and as easy. But we're gonna get into what's next. Chad, you ready for the next section?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, we on event, showcase, and permit.
Okay. All right. So hopping into the eligibility and the application process, this is going to be talking about, exactly what I said. How do you apply? How are you eligible for it? Starting off at line 18 at eligibility, a cannabis showcase permit, a cannabis showcase event permit shall only be issued to an adult use cannabis retailer. Like I was saying, only eligible for that retail portion of the cannabis law. In our two-tier supply side, we have the consumer side, and then we have the supply side. A cannabis showcase event permit must be located at a pop-up location, farmers market, or public market, pursuant to the definitions we just went over. To be eligible for a cannabis showcase event permit, an applicant shall enter into a partnership with at least one licensed cultivator and at least one licensed processor who will participate as authorized licensees. And guys, if just feel free to interrupt me if you guys have questions about what some of this means, because like I said, it took me a little bit to really like grasp the way that language was. And I'll be more than happy to stop and kind of walk through, the relationship in the way that they're explaining it. Brandon, you want to go down to the next page for me? So for the purposes of this part, a licensed microbusiness shall be considered a licensed cultivator, provided, however, a licensed microbusiness may instead be considered a licensed processor if such licensed microbusiness has received processing authority from the office pursuant to 123.11 of this chapter. A licensed microbusiness may not participate in an event as both a licensed processor and a licensed cultivator. Just want to break this down a little bit. This is essentially saying micro business cannot be the permittee, so you essentially can't apply for a showcase permit as the retailer, but you can as either or the processor or the cultivator, giving that you are allowed to do processing. Somebody like you guys,
So you can't have
Giselle,
your flower in your drink? Because that's how I'm reading it. You
that
can
is
only have
where I
one or the
kind of get
other. That's was the question I was trying to figure
right, and that's where it's kind of confusing. Like through like I didn't get a chance to really grasp that through the entirety of this because it doesn't really talk about it, but it's like, what does
I
all it
think they
says?
saying you can have one or the other because
Well,
if
all it says at the end is like, we'll get to it, but it's like products that you can exhibit at the showcase, and it says any legal cannabis product. So it's like that's what made me kind of think, like, because a lot of these licenses are vertically integrated in a way, right? Or like, micro businesses. So it's like, if I have concentrate and I have flower, can I not have them both? And I think that just pursuant to like what license they physically hold, like, like let's say a Skyworld, for instance, they have, or a Glenna, they have cultivator, processor, and distribution. If they come on under, let's say, processor only, and then let's say Phenos, because you guys have your cultivator license because you're a micro business, you can come in as the cultivation. I think you guys can both still carry the full range of products because it like the product you would be selling would be like legal pursuant to previous sections pursuant to your license type, if that
But
makes
we
sense.
also are a licensed retailer. That's why I don't
Right. Well,
understand
you
that.
you
that's
guys
why
wouldn't
I'm
be able to
saying
do
we
the
need the
retail
law change.
whatsoever.
That's what
Yeah.
I was saying before. This is above the regs. This is actually written into the law.
Right.
If you look at the law that was passed in the last legislative cycle, the lady is from our, it might even be from our region. Micros are not included in the
At
event
all.
regs to ever
Yeah.
happen. It was only written to be for retails. And
Right.
because micros did not advocate in the legislative cycle, it was not even updated. So even the OCM can't make it so that micros are able to do it. It will have to be a legislative change first. Then the regulations will be able to see micro as a retail
But
because
see, and this is so micros not advocating. I don't know if that's necessarily the case. I have actual emails and notes that are in the minutes for OCM on the board meetings where I have said that micros are not included in these places and and listed the reasons why.
Right.
They've gone to everyone from back when Rashid was on the board as the attorney. It goes back to when Crystal was first, Rodriguez Dabney was brought over on the advisory board. Like they have this documentation and reasons why we are left out, all the way back to the grants and the supports for brick and mortars when we weren't in that. It was all for card, right? I've been having this very conversation on a repetitive nature for a very long while. Now, I don't know if you mean abs and there is no group associated with it, because the group that exists is lacks direction and focus in the strategic plan at minimum. At best, they lack those areas. But I think that I have documentation of many
I think that
conversations
we gonna
along
talk
now.
soror. We gonna talk offline. But
Let
and I'm just saying yes
Right. Yeah.
because I will tell you that what you're saying is right. People are fighting. However, I will tell you the noise need to be louder because
Yeah.
right now,
A collective voice is what a lot
yeah,
of the
it's
electors
kind
are
of
saying.
tricky because once they put these out, it's gonna be at least another. I don't want to put no time frame on it, but probably about 16 months because you gotta think we gotta go through a whole nother year to even get them to understand that you need to change that. And people, this happened. It's more complicated, but I'll talk to you
But
off.
and then the other part, I mean, okay, you're right. It's not about micros, but the other piece, though, is that in every other aspect of the license, all the other licensees have people with larger, deeper pockets. The micros are the only sector that doesn't exist. Well, it does exist, but that's another conversation, And so I think that that's why the kind of masses, it doesn't look like a mass approach to it, because there aren't deep pockets. There are deep pockets in the retail space. There are deep pockets in the cultivation space. So anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry. We can
Well,
definitely.
no,
No, that was good
and this is
conversation.
good because I
That's
think
what we
even when
want.
y'all
Yeah.
looking at this, these are the type of questions we need to consider. So
Right.
even if I don't have it based on what y'all saying, I'm gonna go back and add some comments to
Right.
that too as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah. Well, even, just one last thing, even before we hop off, and that's exactly what I was saying at the beginning, Giselle, is like, it doesn't make sense that they would essentially a micro and a registered organization dispensing are the same exact thing. Like you said, a registered organization dispensing just has deep pockets. So it's like, why, on what scale are they different to allow them to be able to not only apply for their showcase permit, but also take up 60% of shelf space with their own product for that permit that they apply for. So it's just like, I get what you're saying. Like, it's not making sense because it's supposed to be for micros, and that's really seeming backwards. But it's the lobbying, it's the deep pockets, and you have a great point. But yeah, I just wanted to add that in because, yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, cool. All right, so just picking back up, we're line 6 right now, page 4. An applicant may be in partnership with more than one licensed processor or on an event application provided. However, for each licensed processor listed on the application, the applicant is required to have at least one cultivator in partnership for such event application. Essentially, that's just meaning no odd numbers. If you got 3 people, 2 of them are cultivators, one's a processor, get one more processor. I don't know why or how that makes sense, but it's in their proposed regs. The licensees or registrations of applicants or authorized licensees must be in effect at the time of the application or the event. And just going back, we're still on the eligibility factors for a showcase license. ROD may apply for a permit and shall be authorized to sell and showcase its own cannabis and cannabis products, as well as cannabis and cannabis products produced by other adult use cannabis licensees in this state. An ROD may participate in a cannabis showcase event as an authorized licensee, showcasing cannabis products either in their capacity as a cultivator or as a processor. At no time shall a cannabis showcase event permit authorize a ROD to act concurrently as a permit on an authorized license at an event. Essentially what I was just talking about, but they made a clause saying that they can't take over the whole event, which is, good. I hope they can't be the retailer, the cultivator, and the processor. That would obviously be a problem for a lot of people in the state. So they had to put that in there. Next up is a cannabis showcase event permit shall be effective for no more than 14 consecutive calendar days. No location may be used for more than 14 days or for, no location may be used for more than 14 consecutive days or more than 45 days in a calendar year for any cannabis showcase event. A separate cannabis showcase event permit shall be required for each adult
Okay,
use
hold on.
cannabis.
Can I stop you real quick? This
Yeah.
one has got controversial for me, especially in certain areas. There are limited spaces that meet the qualifications of where they can have an event, such as the private location, public market, or the farmers market. So if 45 days, because say in Rochester alone, we have 19 dispensaries, right? And if 19 dispensaries did wanted to have some showcase, and right now in Rochester, there are not as many viable locations. So say everybody wanted to do the public market, or the public market is where 60% of where the things will happen. That will make it become like I don't want to say competitive, but it is competitive. It's kind
I
of
would say
like
competitive, though, is a good
in
word.
between like the dispensaries, and the goal is for the industry to thrive. So I was wondering, just a wonder. I didn't know what I should comment around this. Is like, what was the justification around if you have to submit multiple applications? Maybe some type of clause that says like they can't do it like book for the whole year or something, because one person could monopolize it. But I don't think that it should be fair that a space should be gagged after 45 days in one for any showcase. So maybe it should say for one specific dispensary or one specific owner. But I think to say one specific like location, I don't know if that's how I was reading it, because it says for any. It says for any, which was what made me think it could be anybody's who did it. And I think that would kind of, especially in our area, be limiting.
Yeah, yeah, I understood it the same way. Yeah, like you said, if somebody came in and said, "Hey, I wanted to do at the public market, I'm going to do 2 months, 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off, 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off." That's already 30 days right there, and it's like, they, like you said, they have that upper hand to be able to, in a way, monopolize that, and kind of cut off
Just made
access
a
for.
comment to myself to go back. I'm gonna add that in. I was just
Yeah.
perfect.
All right. Yep. So no consecutive days. A separate cannabis showcase event permit shall be required for each adult use cannabis retailer seeking to locate at an event or pop up farmers market or public market. Pretty much just saying that if you get one for the public market in Rochester, like we keep saying, and High End got one, and then Good Life got another one, we can't use it under the same one. Everybody needs their own one for whenever they're having a showcase for. You're gonna go down to 5, please, Randy. No cannabis showcase event permit shall authorize more than one cannabis showcase event at a time. What I was just talking about, licensed cultivators, processors, and micro businesses, RODs and RONDs may participate in more than one cannabis showcase event at the same time as authorized licensees, provided that each event has a corresponding separate cannabis event permit. Each licensee is in partnership with the permit, for each event, and each licensee is listed as an authorized licensee on such permittee's cannabis showcase event application. Permittees may conduct no more than 2 cannabis showcase events at the same time. Now we're going into the application information. That one above is, essentially high end. You guys can have 2 at the same time. You would just need to kind of go through all of the proper channels to make sure they're both kind of sanctioned. The site plan for both, but if you wanted to do one at, let's say, the public market, and then you wanted to do one, down at like Charlotte Beach or something, that could be done.
Okay, you want me to, okay,
So yeah, I'm good. Is this where I was, or?
you was right here, at
Oh
the,
yeah, the required application information.
yeah.
So the applicant shall provide the following information on the proposed event permit: your name, contact information, license number, description of the event, the name of the event location, dates and times, including the actual hours of operation and showcasing for the event, the names of the permittee's lead contact. That's essentially, as a dispensary, your lead contact. That's going to be your employee in charge of sales and all the other authorized employees, the names, contact information, and license numbers of all the other authorized license that will be showcasing at the event, a site plan including but not limited to, let's go down to 6, please. A cannabis showcase event area, and the cannabis showcase event area sales description, the measurements, including the approximate drawing and or photographs. This is for the site plan needed in the application as well. A map of the pop-up farmers market or just location where it's going. And it's also going to need to include the event permit area, information on the cannabis showcase event vendors for such event. Like I said, vendors are non-licensed entities. We talk a little bit more about that at the end. The name or DBA for the vendor or vendors that you're utilizing, the activities that your vendors are going to be engaging in. For any food vendors, just attestations from local municipalities saying that they have everything they need for food operations, as well as authority from the Department of Ag and Markets. Cannabis showcase event location, host name and contact information, your security and your storage plan. Your security and your storage plan must make sure that anyone attending the event does not have direct access to the product unless they are inspecting the samples. Like I said, this is if you're showcasing, somebody comes up, hey, can I smell your flower? You can pull it up from a secure location, allow them to inspect it. Your security and storage plan needs to ensure any cache is locked and secure and never left unattended for the entirety of active hours of the showcase event. The permit will possess or have access to secure internet for the purpose of facilitating and tracking cannabis transactions. The permittee or license or authorized licenses will continue to comply with all storage and security requirements pursuant to 125.3 in this chapter. Cannabis products not intended for display shall be secured in an area that is only accessible to authorized employees, not visible to customers, and is suitable for the cannabis product being stored. Once again, we're still on information necessary inside of your site and your site plan layout for the showcase event. It needs to include something about cannabis products not being left overnight. A description of the measures being taken to ensure cannabis showcase of event are limited to demographics of 21 and older.
On chat, Finos just came off of mute.
Yeah.
Did you guys have something? I'm sorry. Didn't want to. Okay. Okay, Chad,
Cool.
keep on.
This is actually a good place to just talk about something I know I wrote in page 7, lines 7 and 8. Any advertisement or marketing to be used for cannabis showcase event pursuant to parts 128 and 129. Once again, we're talking about what needs to be inside of an application. I feel like just knowing marketing and how volatile and how much you might need to pivot, something might work, something might not work. I think that's kind of crazy for them to require all assets you're going to use be submitted in the pre-application, especially if you wanted to do like some good marketing behind it. I just feel
Or
like
you
that should be
had
taken
different
out.
vendors coming up. So
Right.
that'll be a good place to kind of go into some of the recommendations. So
Yeah.
I did say a cannabis showcase permit shall only be issued to adult retail. Just saying that they should permit or like release the data on what this is to make sure that it is going to that and that it is even because I mean they said they didn't want this being monopolized by MSOs, but we see people in our own community now becoming baby MSOs over time in their own community. So applicant shall enter a partnership with at least one licensed cultivator and at least one licensed processor. Permit applicants should document good faith outreach when partners aren't like available. Maybe they can't find somebody in their area. Maybe somebody isn't available. If I do all of the things that I can and I got two processors, as long as I'm showing that I did do that, I think it should be like some type of good faith, especially in low license areas or in those smaller areas where you don't have as many cultivator processors. I think that's something to be aware of. Not everybody has large marketing and travel budgets yet to be able to do that. Um, a ROD may apply for a permit and shall be authorized to sell and showcase its own cannabis. They go deeper into this, but I just think it should be just simplified just because they're going into all of this, but I just feel like not everybody's going to understand all of what they were saying here. And if you read through, I just thought it got really wordy in what they were asking. That's number 4. Alrighty. Goes down to right here. Permit effective for no more than 14. Allow derivation extensions in cannabis deserts. And desert should, and then us being able to define what is a desert, and what does that look and feel like. Also allow waivers for those who are in disproportionately impacted areas. And then the last thing of what we were talking through earlier, just making it instead of it saying for a set location, is per licensee, not per location. A separate permit shall be required for each retailer. Um, if there were multiple retailer or dispensaries, allowing them to be under one permit, and one show up as the vendor and making sure that to allow for more collaboration. I think that will lead to something like, remember when the carnival, man, that junk was lit. I would love to see that come. I'm serious. That was the best cannabis event, hands down, top 10 cannabis events in New York. And I hope they could figure out a way to come back because that was fun. Um, okay. Oh yeah, I was talking about this. The marketing, it doesn't work. Shouldn't have to have every asset, maybe just a flyer or general details, but
Right.
that was one of the things. And then the municipality, they should create a form for your municipality because if every municipality has a different process and a different form, it makes it very difficult for people to come through. It was a comment chat. Oh,
Yeah, just I was just seconding what you said.
yo, that jump was crazy. I'm still, that was one of my favorite events. I hope they could find a way, boy. I know it was a little crazy. Also, so it's 300 550 C applicant reduction 50%. And then I also think implementing a sliding scale fee for tailored retail revenue because what if I'm not making as much as somebody else? I know some dispensaries making 1 million a day where somebody making 1 million a month. So just being able to see that, and I think always making sure it's written in there. I thought that was a cause. Applications must be received 45 days before the. I think it should be 30, bruh, or add an expedited review because life be life in. Like it's just a lot of stuff going on. You be thinking you have a location. Next thing, I mean, you want 45 days. That sounds great, but I just think that they don't even move that fast to be talking about some 45 days. So I put 30 days or expedited review. Applicant has 15 days to cure deficiencies. Um, allow if it's something simple, they should be able to, you know, get it in because sometimes the OCM give it to you on they put it in on day 7. Now you going back and forth with them and now you at the 15-day window. And it's like if it's already started, does that a part of that? I think that wasn't clear. Continuing to go into plain language around the factors of safety risk so that it's clear. Applicants must provide drawings and layouts of the market layout. I think the OCM should have templates and diagrams that the people can be able to use what they suggest. And for vendors, clarify that retail is not liable for vendor compliance. If my vendor's not doing what they're supposed to be doing, I can't be held to that. They could sign their own waiver and I'll have them sign something, but they shouldn't be held to that thing. Now, Chad, I know we still have a few left, so operations, we might really want to get into more of the operations and vendors based on the current, but um
Yeah, go back real quick and let me see where it could make sense to.
um
No, like to the actual regs.
okay.
All right, scroll. Where was I at? I was
Right here
around.
wrapping up, you getting into yeah. We wrapping up the application.
What's the next one?
Go down under here. This the
Oh,
application.
this is the prices you were
Yep.
talking about.
I just went through this.
Yeah, operations.
Here.
All right. Yeah.
Cool.
All right. Um. All right. So hopping into it, cannabis showcase event operations. So authorized sales, adult use cannabis product sales at a cannabis showcase event shall be limited to the permittee named on the permit for such event. This is just wrapping up what I was talking about earlier. A micro business cannot be this person, and it's just that easy at this point. Hands down, just a micro business cannot be the person who is going to be handling the product sales. Any authorized licensee that showcases their adult use cannabis products at a cannabis showcase event shall be prohibited from engaging in direct or indirect cannabis sales at a cannabis showcase event to any person. From the way I read these later on, I think even if you guys have merch, they have to go through the dispensary running the showcase, and you guys, because obviously on the back end, there's kind of numbers that, the dispensary's like, okay, I'm getting it at this. If we sell it, it's at this. So I don't even think you guys could like do like a cash out for like a shirt. I think it all has to go through the permittee at the specific event. A ROD permittee shall be required to maintain a minimum of 40% of cannabis showcase event available shelf space for adult use product cultivated and processed by licensees that are not RODs. This is what I was talking about, is they only have to furnish a shelf with 40% non their products, which I think is crazy. Yeah. I wouldn't even need to go into it that much. I just think that's crazy. Licensed cultivators, processors, RONDs, and micro businesses may only showcase adult use cannabis products at a showcase event as the authorized licensee. At no time shall such authorized licensees conduct cannabis product sales or purchases as an event. Cannabis showcase event locations. No permittee shall locate a cannabis showcase event on any premises which shall be within a 200-foot radius of a licensed adult use cannabis retailer's premises, except when such premises is licensed to the permittee. If you guys are doing it on your own lot as like a pop-up or as like a farmer's market style, that's legal, but you couldn't do it on like somebody else's, as like a way to like try to challenge them or whatever. Within a 200-foot radius of the event sales area to be measured from the entrance of the adult use cannabis retailers' premises on the same road, and this is places where they cannot happen. On the same road in within 200 feet of the entrance of a building occupied exclusively for a house of worship. On the same road or within 500 feet of a building occupied exclusively as a school. On the same road or within 500 feet of a structure or grounds occupied exclusively as a public youth facility. And for purposes of this part, the measurement shall be taken from the closest boundary of the event sales area to the premises exclusively used as a house or house of worship, school, or public youth facility. They got very clear with the measurement on this, is all I want to say. You gonna go
I
down from a
thought
little
the
bit,
same
Randy?
thing, honey. I said, yeah, not gonna trick me today.
Right. All right. So pop-up cannabis showcase events may take place in or at an open air location, including but not limited to a park, beach, square, parking lot, farm, or field, a brick or mortar location, the outside of or immediately adjacent to a licensed adult use retail dispensary, provided such licensee is the permittee in the event. That's what I was just talking about. The cultivation premises of a licensed cultivator, provided such licensee is participating as an authorized licensee in the event. And then it's the same thing after this. If they're a processor, I thought these were kind of cool. I don't know how much people would like, the public knowing where their operations are. I know that's what people kind of get, squirmish about, but I think it was a cool concept, for like outdoor farms or something to be able to have it at their farm, or maybe like a really nice, processing facility, like, with nice grounds around. I think that could be cool as well. You're gonna go down
Most
for me.
definitely.
And then the cultivation and or processing premises of a licensed micro business, essentially the same thing. If you guys wanted to have it on your grounds as well, you would that would be okay, but you would need to be an authorized licensee in that event. Going to advertising, marketing, and required postings. All advertising and marketing for a cannabis showcase event shall comply with the provisions of 128 and 129 of this chapter. The permittee shall post visible to customers the cannabis showcase event permit in a conspicuous location on the premises of the cannabis showcase event area during the approved hours of operation. The permittee and any authorized licensee shall post visible to customers any and all signs or posted placards required by the office, including posting a copy of their adult use cannabis license issued by the office pursuant to Article 4 and allowable possession and purchase limits in a conspicuous location on the premise of the cannabis showcase event area during the approved hours of operation. I would put a comment in there. I don't feel like it's necessary for everybody to showcase their license. Maybe if there's something about having it on file, if anybody ever asked. But I think just kind of like having I think that just creates a problem for you guys. You know, it's like, all right, like, am I printing copies and now we got to carry it? Am I going to have it on the table? Like, you know, I just feel like that doesn't make a lot of sense in application. Like, what am I going to get, like a stand and, put, hey, this is our license. Like, I just think that's kind of arbitrary. Like, there's no point for it. Cannabis showcase event sales requirements and authorizations. A cannabis showcase event shall only be conducted during the approved hours of operation. Authorized licensees may display and secure in lock cases samples of each cannabis product. Authorized employees may remove samples from the display case and provide to the cannabis consumer for inspection, provided the cannabis consumer may not consume or otherwise use or remove such sample from the cannabis showcase event area.
Well, at least we can look and smell at the damn flower now.
Right. I thought that was like, oh, like, well, I exactly what you said. I thought the same thing. You want to scroll down for me a little more? The permittee shall not allow any person under the age of 21 to enter or attend the cannabis showcase event, including the event sales area. The permittee shall utilize identification and age verification for persons entering the event sales area. Cannabis products shall only be sold to authorized employees of the permittee. I'm sorry, by authorized employees of the permittee who shall be 21 years or older. Employees shall verify the identification and age of all cannabis consumers as provided. The prices of all items for sale must be clearly designated, and the permittee shall provide the price of all items to consumers. Any items on display for sale at a cannabis showcase event must display a price tag, sign, or placard stating the item's price and total cost to the consumer, including taxes. Under no circumstance shall permittees or authorized licensees be authorized to give away any adult use products to any licensed person or entity. Under no circumstance shall permittees or authorized licensees participating in a cannabis showcase event, except as a form of payment or remuneration for any sale, federal supplement, SNAP assistance program, just SNAP or EBT payment, or special, or the WIC, or the WIC as payment for anything that they're selling for that specific event. Permittees or authorized licensees. Permittees or authorized licensees participating in cannabis showcase event located at farmers market or public market shall be prohibited from participating in SNAP and receiving such benefits entitled thereunto in relation to approved inventory for sale. That's pretty much just meaning, let's say Ashley, for example, we all know Snowbelt, she also grows mushrooms. If they were participating in any sort of good government supplement program, they wouldn't be able, that just wouldn't work for the cannabis as well, because it's only about the specific inventory. That's something I had confused. And then I read the specific inventory because I was like, well, are they just saying that they can't participate in these showcase events and not participate in these SNAP programs, but it's just under the inventory that they bring under that specific showcase. Okay, sales and inventory reporting. A permittee that conducts a cannabis showcase event shall comply with all cannabis product sales transaction requirements of their license pursuant to subdivision section 123.10 of this chapter. You gonna go down for me, Brandy, please? Submit sales and inventory reports to the office in a form and manner determined by the office. Thought that was a little ambiguous, but I think we had a comment on that, just for them to provide a form. Comply with all requirements of Article 20C of tax law. Authorized employees of permittees and authorized licensees must be at least 21 years or older. The lead contact and employer in charge may also be the same person. The permittee through its lead contact shall be responsible for ensuring that the cannabis showcase event sales area is secure at all times throughout the entirety, of the authorized permit time. The entry to cannabis showcase event is limited to individuals 21 years and older. The permittee through its employee in charge shall be responsible for supervising the cannabis showcase event sales area, ensuring that nobody under the age of 21 or anybody visibly intoxicated purchases any adult use cannabis products, making certain public health and other educational materials provided or required by the office is available in the cannabis showcase event sales area, making sure all authorized employees participating in the cannabis showcase event shall be employed by the permit or licensees. Persons contracted with a permit or license are permitted to participate in a event pursuant to section 124.5. Essentially, just meaning if you got a 1099, a few people for the purpose of this, that's okay. They can operate on your behalf. Approved inventory for sale by permittees and authorized licensees. The permittee may offer the following items for sale, for retail sale at showcase event. This is kind of what I was talking about earlier. Adult use cannabis products, adult use cannabis clones, seedlings, immatures plants, propagation material, tissue culture, etc. Just make sure that you have a nursery dealer and you're registered with the Department of Ag and Markets. Cannabinoid hemp products, provided that you have a cannabinoid hemp retail license or temporary retail permit. Cannabis merchandise, including merchandise containing the permittee's brand, paraphernalia, or other items approved by the office. Authorized licensees may also offer the following items at a cannabis showcase. May not. I'm sorry. Offer the. Oh wait, no. Authorized licensees may offer the following items at a cannabis showcase event for retail sale. The cannabis merchandise, including the brand as well, paraphernalia, as well as other items approved by the office. Let me go down for me, please, Randy. Notwithstanding paragraphs 1 and 2 of the subdivision, permittees and authorized licenses may not offer for sale or provide the following items at a showcase event. We got our tobacco and products that can contain tobacco or nicotine, alcohol, alcoholic beverages, or any items commonly associated with individuals under the age of 21, candy, toys, games, apparel or merchandise, including jewelry or other accessories that reference another brand or brands other than the permittees or the authorized licensee. Or other items disapproved by the office. The permittee shall acquire adult use cannabis products for consumer sale at cannabis showcase event from any license authorized for the distribution of such cannabis products, and the permittee shall obtain the cannabis products at the licensed premises of such permittee. Approved showcase items, a permittee or authorized license may showcase the following at a cannabis showcase: your adult use cannabis, your clone, seedlings, immature plants, clone propagation, etc. Permitted that you have a nursery license and approved by the Department of Ag and Markets. You can go down for me, please, Randy. We are now at hemp. You can showcase cannabinoid hemp products, granted that you have your hemp retail license or your temporary retail permit, or your farm processor license or hemp processor license. Cannabis merchandise, including merchandise containing the permittee or authorized licensed brand, cannabis paraphernalia, other items as approved by the office. A permittee or authorized license may not showcase the following at a cannabis permit. At a cannabis showcase event. Kind of the same thing we were just going over that you can't sell: your tobacco and nicotine products, your alcoholic products, anything that is attractive to people under the age of 21, your candy, your toys, your games, apparel that doesn't have to do with your brand or any brand that's currently at the showcase. And then we move on to storage and security.
And now, Chad, before I just want to
Yeah.
go into, before we might not get through all of these, but we'll share all of these in a follow-up
Yes.
email. But what I will say is we had some things, sales should be limited to the permittee, authorized licensees banned from indirect sales, just clarifying that the brand staff may educate, like understanding the POS system and just like, because that's going to be tricky, especially as soon as all of this come on board, track the metrics.
Metric.
Yeah, metrics come on. I'm like metrics, biotrack, you know what I'm talking about. All right. Also clarifying how they're measuring the shelf space method, because that has been ambiguous for a minute. So I'm not really sure. like trying to figure out where they're actually getting it from. How are the SKUs? I think that should be a little bit more consistent so we can make sure that we're having a little bit more of those non-ROD products in the actual market. I would love to see more C applicants. I'm so happy Phenos on the market, and I would love to see a lot more, to be honest. Just the mapping tool, they should update the mapping tool now that they have more distinct distances. So that is updated. Permit secure sample displays and product information. They should show us what they want that to look like, just so that that is clear. Because what I've been noticing is they say one thing at one store and another thing at another, and then it's not always consistent. So that has been also something about just some cultural items, especially when it came to the Rastafarian community and different things. So just being clear that those aren't a part of things that are youth attractive, in terms of that. Mm, okay. 17. I'm skipping through some of this. I'm not going word for
Yeah.
word. Just okay. Um, Also allowing for digital ID verification. That wasn't something that was in there. And just because we know that that can allow it to move a lot faster. Um, so just was one of the other ads. Then we went into limitations. So just clarifying the perimeter. Also publishing examples of the um examples for the table setup and how they wanted those permits. And then if we can have multilingual templates for the actual displays that they want on the table. So the last section that was there are vendors. So I'm just gonna, because I know we're 2 minutes over, I want to respect everyone's time. The one thing that we will say for vendors, wanting to make sure they have a clear vendor compliance list, because there's a lot of things now that vendors have to consider that they weren't thinking about before, and they're saying, "Oh, you must comply." Well, what are all the things I must comply with? Having so that that could be clear. Educational displays including just like prioritizing C. I don't think they're gonna say MWBE anymore, but really trying to prioritize that so it aligns to the social equity goals. And also clarifying for non-cannabis vendors, because we should be able, especially Bloom Rock, should be able to be able to display and do a lot more things that aren't within that. And I think they don't really speak well to education. All of this seems like I love the fun, but it's not fun if the community not educated. So that sucks too. That was all that I had, all in all. Again, we left off on page 16. It's just a few more pages. So I just want to state, you guys have a few more days. Please look at this. We will submit our packet on Monday. You have until Sunday at 5 to leave any comments. You can comment just right on our document using the comment tool in Google. So if you're watching this later on and you're on our YouTube and you're wondering what does this look like, the comment tool is there. You can add that in, or you can use the Google form. This will allow you to write a comment about what we discussed here today. Ultimately, please don't let the regulations pass and then you wake up and say, "Hey, I didn't like this." Don't let your voices go unheard. Take a moment to make sure you're just having everything. As always, thank you to Bloom Rock, Chad, everyone for making time for the work. I really appreciate it. I'm gonna provide shut up and give you guys some time to ask any questions or leave any comments, but definitely hope this was helpful and put some things in perspective for your brand and where your company is going next.
Perfect, perfect. We don't have anything then. For you guys who were live, thank you once again. And for you guys that are watching this virtually, thank you for making it to the end with us here. No clue where we are in the specific date, but hopefully, some of these things that we wanted to see change were able to be implemented. And on that note, bid everybody a good night.
Thank you.